Welcome back. This is chapter 3 of the VW Bug Chronicles. Now, when we last left our protagonist, as many of you know, he had changed out what he believed to be a faulty coil. Turns out that was not the case. Shocking but true. I believe now that there was nothing wrong with the original coil. So I spent $35. It probably wasn't necessary, but the bright side or positive side is I now know I have a new coil for the engine. So today I thought we would take a look at the distributor as we try to troubleshoot why this vehicle will not start. So without further ado, let's pull off this distributor cap and see what we see. All right, what we have here is a flamethrower distributor, obviously not original. If we remove the clasp and pull the cap off, there's our rotor cap, and I now know that there are not actually points in this distributor. This is an electronic distributor, which is not a bad thing. We just eliminated one potential problem as to why Myrna won't start. So good news. So now, let's see, what do we need to do next? Let's see if we've got power actually coming to this coil, and I think we'll pull a spark plug wire and see if we've got some spark. All right, so I have hooked my battery back up, and the key is in the on position. I have a little tester here. You can see I've hooked up one end of this component to the positive end of the coil, the ground, and in theory, this should light up. Let's see if we just go right here. So you can see lighting up. So I know I've got power going to the coil. And actually, I believe this would start to warm up because there's juice coming to this coil now over time. But one of the things I'm going to do is I've got a starter button because I obviously can't be up front cranking on it and be back here to see if there's spark. So I have a handy dandy push button start. We just need to hook it up to that coil, get underneath the car, hook it up to the starter. I'm going to pull a spark plug wire. I've got a spark plug laying around, and we should be able to put this up to the engine and get to see a spark. And that'll tell us that the coil going through the distributor and giving us spark. If we get spark, then we can theoretically eliminate electricity as part of my problem. Let's see what happens. Okay, so I can't get underneath the car. Well, at least at this time. This is a bad weekend for me to try to tackle this. Where the starter is on this Volkswagen, I really have to get the car up in the air to use this starter button that I was yapping about before. One end goes to the coil, and one end needs to go to the starter. And what that does, if I'm understanding it, is I'm effectively eliminating the ignition switch. When the key is in the on position, when you turn that key, you're making a connection that's taking power to the starter, cranking the engine when it starts. You let go of the key, of course, starter stops spinning because it loses that power. I think that makes sense. And what this does is this is essentially bypassing the key or the ignition switch. You hook this up to the coil for juice, you go to the starter side and hook this up, and with this little button, I can sit here all day long in the back, and when I press it, the car starts cranking. Well, as I said, unfortunately, I don't have a lot of time today to get this car up on jack stand so I can get up underneath to get to the top of the starter. But I thought, perhaps, what if I pulled a spark plug wired. I've got an extra spark plug lying around. I don't know what the hell this went to, but for the purposes of this, I believe a plug is a plug. And I thought, well, I'll pull the number 2 spark plug wire, plug it into this, and if I lay it on some of the engine shrouding, basically earth ground, two things. I thought, well, if I lay it there and we've got the key in the on position, and I put a wrench on the crank and I slowly turn it if I watch really, really close, there still should be, a little bit of a spark. Well, much to my chagrin, if it's happening, I can't see it. My eyes aren't what they once used to be. And since I don't have a helper, I can't have anybody up front cranking while I sit here and look for the obvious. So I thought, well, perhaps, what if I, again, did all of that and I laid it on the shroud, took the camera, recorded it, went up and, gave it a couple of cranks. Maybe I'd be able to see, I could zoom in enough. And nope, I'm a hooplehead. If it's working, I can't see it. So our episode today is probably going to grind to a halt because I have a number of chores I've got to do. And tomorrow, most of my day is being taken away in a good way. But I may have to start this again. Well, for heaven's sakes, next week we'll try again. I probably need to get a buddy or a neighbor over here to help me expedite, though I don't really always believe that's true. I may just need to get the car up in the air. Anyway, sorry to disappoint. Oh, by the way, I did try to squirt a little bit more starter fluid in again, and sometimes I'm a bit of a moodoc, but I thought it would work, and of course it didn't. I'm still convinced this is electrical, I think, but I've been wrong. I've been wrong before. But anyway, so it occurred to me, before I close this up, we should try one more thing. All right, so I don't have time to fiddle with my little push-button start because I don't have time to jack the car up like I said. But what if I pull that spark plug wire, hook the battery back up, put my wrench on the crank again, and slowly turn it. There should be juice coming out of that coil, going through the distributor. Even if I go really, really slow, is there enough juice, and when I get close, and it'll be the number 2 spark plug because it's the closest, to either A, register on the multimeter some sort of voltage, positive in, and then again, same concept, ground to earth, and put this in the tip of the spark plug wire, or even better, maybe, is use this same concept, ground to earth, and stick this in the spark plug wire, and if I slowly turn it, it should light the light. I think it's worth a try before I call it quits today and turn episode 3 here into a waste of everyone's time. My time doesn't matter, but yours certainly does. And I won't end up being a complete and total, moodoc. So let's give it a try. Okay, so here's the multimeter. It's grounded. Come over here to the positive post. So in theory, at least in my feeble brain, if I take the positive post now and we place it into here, and I put a wrench on this pulley, and I already know, I've checked, the number 2 basically is, it kind of rotates this gap here between here and here. Can I get that multimeter to have any kind of reading? Let's see. Okay, so I've made sure I've got good contact with the spark plug wire. She's still grounded. You can see it's 0. I've got a wrench here. Well, actually, let me show you this too. So, pull this off. This is number 2. You can see where our rotor is at. I'm going to back up a little bit and then kind of go back and forth. And as you can see, I'm using that notch kind of as a gauge. So if we put this back on, like so. Make sure she's on there tight. Okay, so let's put the wrench on. I'll go back just a schmeckle here. All right, watching that meter. I don't know if this is going to work, but here goes nothing. Just subtle turns. Nothing. So maybe I am a mudak. I was wrong. But in theory, that should have worked, I think. Now I can try the same with the light, but I thought the meter would at least give me some sort of indication. But clearly I was wrong. Shocker. All right, so it looks like what I'm gonna have to do, well, let's just make sure. So again, pull this out over here, here, boom. So, it was sort of a last ditch idea. Wasn't sure if it was gonna work, but like I said, I think I'm just gonna have to take a couple days off and be able to spend a good solid 2 days digging into this and trying to figure it out. I have to stop sort of half-assing it, if you will. Anyway, we gave it a shot. As always, like I said before, be kind, be humble, be forgiving, and be melting snow. We'll see you in episode 4. Bye-bye.